Hello, my name is Carrie Coonan, and I am the principal of Raynor Country Day School, and it's always a pleasure to introduce myself. We welcome you to the 2021-2022 school year. If the last 2 years have taught us anything, it's to be prepared to expect the unexpected. Tonight, we're going to showcase for you our digital open house for the upcoming school year. We know that the time and attention our staff have taken to preparing these digital presentations will be able to answer many of your questions, as well as help you understand the daily routines in the life of your child. Should you have any additional questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out throughout the year. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you our very talented Raynor Country Day School staff.
Oh, hi. I was just reading this Scholastic News Back to School Survival Guide, and it says this new school year is here. We'll share some tips to help you do your best. And how are you feeling? And there's smiley, kind of like and then a surprised or shocked face. I think I'm in the smiley mode. So welcome to second grade. I think I have everything I need. I have coffee, a lot, water, a mask, and I have your children, which is the key to a great second grade year. Just thought I'd tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Lisa Nijin, and I've been here at Raynor for about 9 years. I started out substituting and then was offered the full-time position when a lovely second grade teacher retired, and I've been here ever since. I love second grade because I feel like the kids are still young enough that they're innocent, excited about the world, and they're also not babies, although kind of in a way they still are to me, having much older children. But they are pre-reading or reading. They have a little foundation in mathematics, so we can really soar in what we learned this year. So I really do like this age group very much. That 6, 7, 8-year-old is kind of cool to be around all day long. They're mostly kind almost all the time, gentle-hearted, and sweet and friendly, and so tolerant of me and each other, and a great place to be and spend my time. So a little bit about me, besides my professional life, is that for a while I was in the food industry, and we had a business very close by for many, many years, and I homeschooled my own children. So although I wasn't in education technically, I also was in education, teaching my own children from kindergarten till about 8th grade when they went off to public school, and had a great experience there as well. So just a little bit about what your child's day is like. When they come in the morning, they unpack, greet their friends, greet me, have a little bit of time to get settled. A lot of them have an early morning start, maybe even a long bus ride. So when they come in, they get settled, and then they check out our Do Now board, which is always posted up on a large Post-it note right here. And it'll welcome them, tell them the date and what they need to do every day, unpack their things, and sharpen 2 pencils. They read and record and have a math page, for example, for their homework tonight. They write whatever's in that blue cloud in their agenda. So that's what you'll see in their agenda each evening. It might change, so you want to take a look at that every day and maybe initial or smiley page, so I know that you have seen that. And then they go on to their Do Now, which as the year progresses becomes more and more independent, and they become proficient at getting their work started on their own and doing some independent work. I do encourage them, if they have questions, to see me, and it's a little time in the morning so that I can kind of evaluate how they're doing. Maybe it'll be a math page called an exit ticket, which kind of checks in with what we did the day before, and I can see who's getting it, who might need a little extra help. I'll look at their homework at that time. I go around and check the agendas, and I check their homework folders, and I can see if anybody struggles. I'll go back to math homework later when I address math in this little video. And then spelling homework, I'll check that. I'll check their agenda to make sure they've written what I have on the board posted. And then they put those items in their backpack, begin their morning work. Again, back to the morning work, it's usually a review, a refresh on some of the knowledge that we might have done the day before or in the weeks before. It might be math, it might be science, it might be an ELA assignment. As the year goes on, they'll also have time to work on their Chromebooks in the morning on certain days, depending upon what we have going on. After morning work independent time, then we shift over to more structured instruction, where I am more like in the front of the room or working on the smartboard and working with the whole group instead of with children a few at a time or one at a time. And during this block, usually ELA is where we start our day, English and language arts, and we do reading, which might consist of our mentor sentence of the week picture book. Each week we have one book that we focus on for the entire week, similar to maybe what your child did in Miss Marshall's class last year. And each child has their own copy from the library. I asked the librarian to get us a set, and each child in their book bin will get this book. And we read it together. On Monday, we'll highlight a sentence of the week, and we study that sentence all week for different educational resources. So we might use it for grammar, where we're looking at punctuation or sentence structure, whether the sentence rather has nouns, proper nouns, common nouns, adjectives, adverbs, past tense verbs. So we'll be looking closely at that one sentence for many, many different objectives. So then we also use the book to read aloud, and we'll learn about an author's craft. We learn about different author styles. We learn about different genres just from this text each week. We will study the pictures closely. The children will determine the who, what, where, when, and why of a story. They might make a correlation or a connection to their own life from the story. They'll compare characters, the beginning to the end of the story. So we kind of cover all reading objectives through this text each week. And depending upon the story, it addresses different objectives in a fun way. We also will use the story to work on our reading skills, where children might read in a partnership or read the story aloud to me, or you might read the story as a whole group. So lots of different reasons that we highlight that one text. At the end of the week, I try to get other books by the same author to kind of stimulate their love of reading. Sometimes children will fall in love with a book and they want to read more and more from that author. I'll move a little bit now from reading to our our spelling program. This year in second grade, a little different than what your children maybe did last year, is we have a self-selecting spelling list. So I won't be giving them a certain list every week. These are your words. We will have a common rule that we work on. This first rule, for example, I'll bring you over to what the kids see when they come in. On Monday morning, they'll see that mentor sentence posted. And you can see one of the skills this week was compound words. So I had the kids write down compound words that they could think of and stick them on this Post-it note. Down here is the spelling rule that I was talking about. And you can see it says spelling rule of the week, short vowels. Now we haven't started official spelling yet. So next week, when we begin, we'll introduce the rule. And the kids will brainstorm a list with me of words that have short vowel sounds. We'll talk about them. We'll watch videos on short vowel sounds, sing songs, play games, and then we generate a list together. And from that list, the children pick their own words. And they'll pick 10. It'll look something like this, but you won't see it actually. They will have one of these cards at their desk for the whole week. You will see their spelling homework notebook, which will be a composition book like this, and their words will be listed in there on Monday. Those will be the words of the week. If they forget to bring this home, which they usually don't, you're not going to have the words, and I'm not going to have the words because every kid has different words. So don't panic. They're 7. It's okay. The next day, they'll get their homework. they'll bring this home, and they might have to do 2 assignments that day. But don't worry, but I won't have a list of words because each child picks their own. I approve the words, and I encourage them to pick maybe some words that they're kind of comfortable with and words that are a little challenging, and maybe 1 or 2 words that are really challenging, all following that same rule. So as a class, we can discuss that rule, and they can also stimulate each other and learn different words that follow that rule from their peers. The fun part for them is that they have a spelling buddy, and that person I select for them, and that person is usually with them for the whole year, that gives them a spelling pre-test on Thursday, and they give it to their spelling buddy. They check their own work to make sure they spelled their words correctly on Thursday afternoon in school, and then they'll know which words they really need to study for Thursday night for our Friday assessment, and their buddy gives them their spelling assessment as well. So they enjoy this so much because they get to work with their friends, and they also get to like be the teacher. So that's always exciting for somebody at this age. So spelling has been a lot of fun the last few years that I've been doing this for me and for the kids. They really enjoy it. So don't worry so much at the beginning of the year. You might say, well, these words seem a little difficult, or these words seem a little too easy. Eventually, the kids start picking words that are really on target for them. And we have so many opportunities that they learn how to spell words anyway, just in the general classroom setting. So don't worry so much. It's really to get them in the habit of being responsible, being accountable for doing their own homework, and also, of course, the skill itself. So that's spelling. We also have other opportunities for reading. The children will have access to my own classroom library where I have hundreds and hundreds of books, and they'll be able to self-select books, and when they're finished with their reading or during specified times, they'll have time to read in class. And that brings me to reading log. You all have seen at this point in their homework folder that reading log. Very important. At the when you read with your child, or when your child reads to you, record those minutes. At the end of the year, I tally up all the minutes for all the kids in the class, and the kids that have the highest number of minutes actually win a prize. It's the only really competitive thing that I do in the classroom, and it's a lot of fun. And the reading log is required of everybody. If you have time only to have your child read 10 minutes a day, that's okay. But if you have an avid reader, encourage them to read as much as possible. It's wonderful. It extends into so many academic areas. And actually, I mean, you can see your child from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. The more they read, the better they become. So keep that reading log in the homework folder. Try not to put it on the refrigerator. I know it's kind of difficult. Sometimes you're reading with them in bed, but you can always catch up the following day and record if you forget. On Monday, I collect the reading log. So, and I will collect them and keep them for the whole year. And that's when I'll tally them up in June to see how many minutes our class has read as a whole and your child has read individually. Moving on, snack time is super important. I can't even stress that enough. You can see up here, I have some extra snacks. However, I like for the kids to bring in at least 2, if not 3 snacks a day. Kids are picky at this age, and a lot of times they'll say to me, I don't have a snack, and they really do, but they don't like what it is. So if you give them some choices, generally they find something that they like. It's difficult for me to provide snack for them because I don't have healthy options. I only have cookies and things that you really probably don't want them eating at 9:30 in the morning. So try to remember to provide them with at least 2, if not 3 or more snacks. Let them pick. They're usually pretty responsible about not overeating. We don't really have a huge amount of time for snack anyway. And better to bring it home than not have enough. Healthy snacks encouraged. Fruit, carrot sticks, cucumbers, things with a little protein are great in the morning, so that they don't, start to crash. And I understand they have a super long day. Lunch, they can order. I know you're familiar with the way we do this. I kind of walk around like a waitress, take their orders. They can order, or they can bring lunch from home. We are eating lunch outside every day. Hopefully, if the weather isn't too inclement, like we're not going out in a hurricane, but basically if it's raining or cold or snowing, we're going to go out. We're under a nice tented area outside the art room. And we've been doing that since the beginning of the school year, and the kids seem to like it. It's nice to get everybody out in the fresh air. So we kind of have a picnic every day. After lunch, we head out to recess, which is generally about a half hour. The children play on the playground, they play soccer, imaginative play, playing structured games, whatever they choose during that time. It's a nice long recess, which they really do need. And then we usually come in, most days we have math right after recess, which is great because they've had that exercise. They're ready to sit again and learn. We wash our hands first, I wanted to say, when we come in from recess. Get a cool drink. That brings me to the water bottle thing. Please send your child in with a nice big water bottle each day. Teach them how to cap it tightly, and they can have that at their desk. They're not allowed to have any other beverages at their desk during the school day. During lunch, if you choose to send something else, that's okay. But all day long, they're allowed to have that water bottle with them. So math is based on Engage New York, also known as Eureka Math. It's a Common Core program, which I've been using since I started at Raynor 9 years ago, and I have become a big fan. Sometimes it seems to parents that it's a lot of strategies and it's things that you're not really familiar with because you didn't learn, like I didn't learn math this way. If we can just keep in mind that the reason for the way that I'm teaching it is to really have them understand why they're doing something, not just do it because this is what we do. So we really want them to get the rationale behind it. So we might spend a lot of time like drawing discs and crossing them out. And then we move to place value, actually showing a place value chart and moving things from one to another. Like you would say, I'm borrowing. We say regrouping, or we say other terms that your child will become familiar with and they'll teach you. Eventually, we do get to the standard algorithm, which is what you're used to doing, and every parent breathes a sigh of relief like, hey, I finally get their math. Give them time and give them grace, and they will get it. And with Engage New York, one of the biggest philosophies is it's a progression to mastery. So they might not get it fully, they might not understand it fully, but they're moving towards mastery. So don't panic so much, especially when I'm introducing a new topic, like they don't get it. Circle things on the homework that are too difficult, that you feel like it's too much of a struggle. It's okay to struggle a little bit, but if you're crying, it's too much. If they're crying, it's too much. Circle it, just say, hey, this was really tough tonight. And I'll try to address it with them in the morning. And generally what happens is maybe that first and second day, they don't really get it. But by like the third or fourth day, when we've moved through the strategy a little bit, they start to get it. And that brings me to another bulletin board that I've had up for a few years, and I find it really helpful. It's helpful for me and it's helpful for the kids. It is the power of yet. So, what is the power of yet? The power of yet. I don't know the answer yet. I can't do this yet. I don't understand this yet. I'm not good at this yet. This doesn't work yet. So it gives the child an opportunity to have a growth mindset. What does that mean? It means that maybe right now something is difficult. It doesn't mean that I'm not smart. I try not to say to a child, you're so smart, because then the first time that something is difficult for them, they feel like, oh, maybe I'm not smart anymore. Or maybe my teacher will think I'm not smart if I ask a question. So, what I like to encourage is hard work and perseverance and grit, that this is difficult right now, but I'm going to make it through if I try. And it's okay if I struggle a little bit. A few years back, when I first started, I feel like I had a little boy who was a super learner and things came fairly easy to him. And then one day during a math lesson, he was crying because he didn't get it. And it struck me because he wasn't used to having something be difficult. And we all know that in life, things will be difficult. So we kind of have to get through that and accept this is tough right now, but maybe if I work hard, it won't be so tough. Maybe I won't get it right away, even, but little by little, I'll get better at it. So I use the growth mindset and apply it to not just math, every area, even if it's to friendships. Like this is struggling right now, but if I work at this, it'll get better. So I use the growth mindset a lot. And I also ask them a lot, how old are you, when they're struggling? And they'll say, I'm 7. I'm like, well, you've only been on the planet for 7 years. So there's a lot of things that you're going to learn. It's okay not to know it right now. So that's kind of my philosophy with growth mindset, and my approach to teaching children and learning is giving them the opportunity to realize that it's okay if something is difficult. It's okay if I'm struggling. And struggling is good. We learn about neurons in the brain, and we learn about how every time we learn something, we make connections. And a little baby hardly has any connections, but by the first year, they have millions of connections. So we'll even make a neuron, and we'll talk about synapses, and we'll talk about how when we learn, our brains make connections, and that helps us solve problems in the future. A little bit about science. We have a science curriculum, and we cover different areas of the natural world. We talk about space, rocks, and a lot of our science is based on things that come up in my Science Spin issues, which is produced by Scholastic News. So we just did an article about a scientist called Dr. Sammy, who was, like me, not Miss Marshall, afraid of bugs when he was a kid. And so we read the article, we watched some videos, we will go outside today actually and try to find some bugs and draw pictures of them. I have a class full of kids that actually loves bugs. So a lot of our science will be based on topics that come in our Science Spin, which is every couple of weeks, and we'll focus on that lesson. And then we also have a science textbook. We will focus on some of the topics in there. And then in addition, every Friday we have a STEM activity, which is based on a picture book. So my first book is The Kissing Hand. And in that book, the children will get to do a STEM activity based on Hershey Kisses. So we do lots of things. We'll make slime, and we'll have lots of time with working with buoyancy, all based on a book. So I read them a book, and then there's a STEM and a science attachment to that lesson, and they'll get to make something. And so science, I call it Storytime STEM, is super fun, and the kids had a blast with it last year. The last thing to talk about academics wise is social studies, which is based again on my Scholastic News. There's lots of topics that we cover weekly that have to do with our community and our world. And we also have a social studies workbook rather, that has to do with my community, my world. We talk about other cultures and other communities around the world. We do map study, and the kids absolutely adore this workbook. And again, the Scholastic News has current issues that we talk about. We talk about different history months. We'll do Black History Month. We have Hispanic History Month coming up. So lots of interesting things coming up in our Scholastic News, which you'll see after we cover them. I'll send them home so you can discuss them with your children. Reader's Workshop and Writer's Workshop. We work on different types of writing, such as narrative writing, opinion writing. We work on nonfiction writing. A really fun traditional second grade activity at Raynor Country Day School is Famous American Day, one of my favorite days of the year. It's changed a little bit with COVID restrictions, but we'll talk about that more as we get closer. We generally start talking about it in January. The children pick a famous American, can be somebody that was born in the United States or became a citizen, and something about that person might appeal to your child. I've had kids be everything from sports to political figures to athletes, some that are people that I've never heard of, current people today that I might not have heard of, fashion designers. So whatever your child's passion is, start to think about who they might be interested in, really doing an in-depth study. And then on Famous American Day, the kids come in dressed up as their famous American. We'll be doing Flipgrid videos so that you can see them at home and the kids can see each other's, but the kids come in dressed that day and they act out their famous American. It's so much fun. It's completely adorable, and I look forward to it every year. That is one of the Reader's Workshop, Writer's Workshops activities that actually happens mostly at home. The other ones pretty much happen in the school. Very few book reports and things that you're going to have to do at home at second grade. And then Reader's Workshop, where they're reading books, we'll do in-school book reports, and we'll talk about books, compare them, have book study clubs. And then we also have every day, I should say almost every day, when time permits, a read aloud. one of my most favorite times of the day is when I actually get to sit and read with your children. So, the first novel that we're reading this year is called The Heartwood Hotel, A True Home. It's the first year that I'm reading this to my class. It is written by Callie George, and it is a series book. I chose it intentionally. I like the topic of friendship and kindness, and also giving yourself a little grace. Um, and I also chose it because it's a series book. At second grade, children love books in a series. They fall in love with a book and then they want to read all the books by that author. I have a lot of series books in our school library, in our class library. So I thought that this was a good jump off point for us to begin the year. Please try not to get this book and read it ahead of us. A lot of kids want to do that, and it kind of like, well, if you really have to, I understand, but try to let us experience it for the first time together. And then after that, go out and get all the Callie George books you want. Um, and so they'll have some in-class assignments that we'll do talking about the chapters that we've read. We talk about the illustrations and we talk about all the different things that the book has, character study, setting, everything. I'm so excited to begin this book with them. I read the first chapter yesterday and they were eating out of the palm of my hand. So I'm excited about that. And then we have other chapter books that I'll read to them during the year. Lots of different styles of writing, some books that are super silly and fun, some that are a little serious and sad. So I look forward to that point of the day with your children. We might do a project with the novel read aloud, which I'll send home information about. It might not be this one, but it could be another book. And kids like making dioramas at this age, so we'll get more information about that as the year goes on. And then finally, I wanted to talk a little bit about Raynor Nights. Raynor Nights is an activity that children enjoy. Mrs. Coonan usually leads the program, and it's based on character education usually. And the kids get together as a whole school community. That is generally on Fridays at the end of the day. So your kids might be coming home talking to you about something that happened at Raynor Nights. Character education, so important. It happens every day here anyway, regardless of Raynor Nights. We really stress accountability, kindness to others, being safe. And your children will come home maybe with lessons that they've learned, books that I read to them that have to do with character. So you will be receiving a packet. That is my welcome to open house. I encourage you to look through it for much more in-depth information about everything we talked about today, ways to contact me, things to do if you're going on vacation. An extra copy of the book log is in here, and our school schedule, class list, lots of good stuff. So check it out. If you have any questions, please text me. My number is 631-553-1497. I like to address things right away. I'd rather not have you crying or waking up in the 2 o'clock in the morning worrying about something, or your child. So if there's an issue, please let me know and we'll address it as soon as possible. I'll either respond quickly with a text message if I can. If it needs a follow-up phone call, we'll do that as well. You can also check out our class dojo, where as time permits, I try to post pictures of things that we're doing, things that your child made, especially on STEM days. It's fun to see what's going on in our room. And I will send out messages on that. So check that out. I believe almost all the parents have signed up at this point, and I've already sent out some messages. So check it out on your phone if you haven't already seen some of the messages that I've sent. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this little video. Hope I didn't talk too much too fast. But reach out, and I'm looking forward to a terrific year. Have a great evening, and thank you.